Today we are going to talk November. Let's get into a wrap up. Let's talk about some of my favorites and let's just reflect on the month. November was a bit of a heavy month for me. I was rather busy with work, and it was that busy that felt like I was managing a chaotic circus, and it just really turned into overwhelming frustration. So the first half of November, I was really feeling it. It's that frustration where you feel like you have so many things to do, but like a certain one or two things keeps pulling you in one direction when you're trying to go the other direction. And you just feel like you're getting ripped apart into 2 ways or 8 ways, whatever. And it's just too much. And I was getting frustrated because I wanted to really focus on my own work. I've been working rather hard on YouTube over here, and unfortunately, my Instagram dropped off. My YouTube had to drop off. Like, I had to stop focusing on my goals for my own work and switch gears and put that focus, care, and attention into my more like professional client side of work. And it was just a lot. It was a busy month. It's a busy end of the year for everyone. And it just became really draining on me. I'm so happy now that I can be back and making this video, and I was able to make my last deck edit video to get back in the groove over here. I'm really trying to keep up with the content, and so it gets really frustrating for me when I can't do that. Work was just a lot this month, and I'm just really glad that I'm through it and I'm here. And I'm talking to you all now. Another thing in November that felt really heavy, and probably wasn't helping my emotional regulation with work, but it was my dog Sasha's 5th death anniversary in November. This year, I would say, was the first year that I actually was able to speak about her, look at photos and videos, think about her in a way without bursting into instant tears and just really falling into that like grief hole. So that was a huge breakthrough with her death this year. And 5 years seems like a long time. It doesn't feel like a long time. And I think because having that distance, you're able to just separate a bit more and look at it in a different lens with that time gap in between you. And of course, like, I still get sad, I still cry, I still think about her like almost every day. So even though I was feeling stronger in the grief department on year 5 with her, it still felt like a milestone of that 5-year mark, which I think really weighed a bit heavier on my heart. Yeah, so I just wanted to show a picture of her. And these are 2 pictures that I keep on my altar. And, you know, I just miss her dearly. I really do. So I just want to say, for anyone that still experiences like an emotional surge thinking of any past pets, lost pets, the Rainbow Bridge pets, that I'm on year 5 and I'm like still getting choked up over it. And, you know, I just don't feel stupid. Like, don't feel like it's wrong. Don't feel like you're not allowed to grieve or still feel that deep loss, because they were a part of our world so intensely. And having that ripped from you is super hard. Like, crazy hard, right? Especially when they get sick at the end or there's some dramatic ending. I mean, that makes it even worse. You know, and I'm getting a little choked up now, and it's just, you know, we love them, and it sucks to not have them here. So go easy on yourself. Like, seriously, like, don't put a time limit on it. Don't put any sort of like expectations around it, and just allow yourself to feel it. Because that's really all we can do, is just like live through it. I could go into like so many stories about my grieving process with Sasha. Trust me, if you want to hear some dramatic grief, some like really trying times internally, mentally, don't be shy. Reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk through it with you. Yeah, because you're not alone, and don't feel dumb for feeling this way. As you can see, a bit of those leftover November emotions have continued to follow their way through with me through the start of December here. But hey, I'm only human. So here we are. But if we want to talk about something that was really positive to happen in November, was that I joined a local Finnish club. So if you didn't know, one side of my family is Finnish, and I have been interested in the Kalevala for the past like 4 years or so, and I have just been like submerging myself into Finnish culture and traditions and trying to eat up and read really all the materials that I can find. And I've just been super interested. You probably may have a feeling about this if you have my Folkloric Forest Tarot, which was very much inspired as a personal deck for me to work with my Finnish lineage. And I just really love the folklore and getting to know that side of like my heritage. So what's really cool about the area I live in is actually it has a really deep Scandinavian history, and specifically Finnish. Like there was a lot of Finnish immigrants that came to the area because it was rather close in the type of industry and environment that Finns were used to. So the Finns here in my area were involved in the fishing industry, the logging industry, you know, those very natural resources, land-based work. So it was like a very natural transition from their homeland. So the club I joined promotes the Finnish culture and the traditions of Finland. So it's pretty cool because I didn't grow up with anything of that. I just knew that, you know, my family was proud to be a Finn, and that was kind of it. So I'm really excited to be joining the club and learning more of the traditional aspects of the culture, like the food. Like I know nothing of it. So I'm already been submerged into some food talk. So I'm just really excited to continue learning more about the food and the dance and the music and the crafts and like everything about it that this club has to offer. So they are involved in the local community, and they put on a lot of events. And the one event that I stumbled into them was the Nordic Market in November, and it was such a great environment. Everyone was super nice, and I caught a glimpse of people wearing the shirt with this really awesome logo. And so I ended up looking into that more, discovering that it was like the Finnish club in town and just all that. So I'm now an official member. I went to my first meeting, and I'm just really excited to learn and be involved and to have a social gathering outlet through this club because, you know, it's just kind of like me working from home and getting to talk to all of you here online, but I don't get the face-to-face interaction that much. So I'm really excited to get that in, especially in something I am so deeply interested in. Another really awesome thing that happened in November was cooking my first Thanksgiving meal. So I have never put together the full shebang of Thanksgiving. My husband and I invited my mom and my brother down, and I put together the whole meal. My mom did help when she got down here, like getting the sides together, because that's when chaos really sparked. But so I did the turkey and made an apple crisp, like ginger glazed carrot. Like I don't want to get into the whole menu, but I had like or do I just talk about the menu? Okay, so we had the carrots, the mashed potatoes, the gravy. Oh my gosh, the gravy was so good. Like I could just drink a thing of that gravy right now. Oh, brioche stuffing, that was super delicious. And what else? I feel like there was one more thing. Oh, my husband made a roast in the crock pot, and oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. There's definitely one other thing. Oh well, you get the point. We had a lot of food and it was really great. I was absolutely exhausted though. Like I cooked from 7:30 a.m. until like 2:30 p.m. It's not that I wouldn't do it again. I probably would do it again, maybe something on a smaller scale. I was just happy that I did it and that we really partook in the holiday. This year in general, we were going full holiday force. Like this is the first year we put up a Christmas tree and did all of that as well. So I'm feeling the spirit this year. So that was really nice. So like I had a very, I guess, balanced month with like 2 kind of hard things and 2 really great things, which I mean, that's life, right? We got to take the good with the bad. And it's not even that the bad was bad. It was just like a heavy month for me and I got through it, which is great. And that's what I had to keep telling myself. It's like, just keep on pushing, which leads me into my monthly animal gnosis of salamander. And I feel like salamander was a total underdog for me at the start of November, but by the end of November, I was like, okay, you and I are definitely seeing eye to eye this month, and I'm feeling a lot more connected and closer to salamander, but let's get into that on the desk. Okay, let's talk about the salamander. Let's get into my animal gnosis practice for the month. So these are the 3 cards that I had on my altar, and I really ended up loving the keywords because they were rather straightforward and to the point. So we have fire, discreet, and inspiration, which I really love that we are focusing on the elemental side of the salamander, along with those 2 metaphysical aspects of discreet and inspiration, which inspiration plays really nicely into the fire elements. And then with discreet here, I love the idea of thinking about the folklore around salamander coming through the flames of the fire, because they live like under logs and leaves and all that sort of like ground level stuff. When they come to the surface, like you can see the smoke here behind the salamander and the winter seer oracle here, that they are now becoming visible. And I feel like you now can take that inspiration and run with it. So we go from the hidden to the visible. I really feel like that's a nice guide of a inner fire, of that sense of regeneration. Because like salamander is so small and soft, and I love the idea of like carrying that like tiny flame in an elemental way along with you. So I feel like this month with the animal gnosis, salamander really pushed me to pay attention. And I'm normally one with like an eagle eye, and I do pay attention, but when it comes to myself and my own needs and like emotional levels and whatnot, as we've seen in the beginning here, I really felt like I was like in the dark, and then like taking that inner fire to grow and to show outwards again. And because it was such a trying month for me, and I kept thinking back to salamander and its like qualities. Once again, like I said, like that existing in the dark, under the leaves, under the dead logs, below the brambles, under the trees, and just like not being seen by anyone or anything. And then that like emergence, it just really kept harkening back to me about like the hurt, the frustration, and like the overwhelm that I was feeling in November. And I kept thinking back to salamander, and almost the idea of being hidden was feeling like I was trapped in my frustration and my sense of overwhelm. But like I had said in the intro, like I continuously had to remind myself to keep pushing through, keep crawling through the dark. The month will end, the week will end, the day will end, and I can start again. And I just really had to remind myself. And salamander was seriously the perfect companion for that, because of its idea of the dark, the small, the soft, and having this power to go through the fire and emerge out the other side alive, well, sparked with inspiration. And I'm really trying to hold that salamander fire through December as well. And I think I have so far. Since right now it is the beginning of December, I have taken that action. So I almost needed that like slow rollout for me. And I feel like now the conclusion of my salamander month is like playing into action this month. A huge practice of mine in November was working with my journal, and this is something new that I introduced for the month of November. I can have a really hard time with journals because I can turn into a huge perfectionist. You know, one little mess up, one little way I don't like my handwriting, one little whatever, one day of skipping, and then I just let it all go to the wayside. So this is why I love happy planners so much, or I guess any sort of disc system, because I can pull it out, I can trash it, I can start again. Like there's nothing precious about the pages having to stay where they're at. Anyways, I could go on a whole journal spiel and rant and all of those things, but let's just focus on my practice for November, which I turned into a tarot journal here. So I took an outdated happy planner and I turned it into a daily tarot journal. So what I've done is I've gone through and I have eliminated any visuals of the old calendar. Like these 2 pages were separate, but I glued them together and then just made them more of a visual piece. And then for the page dividers, if you're familiar with happy planners, the page dividers have a calendar on the back of them. once again, it's outdated. So I went through and I covered them with a piece of paper. So you can see here as well, this would normally have like a MTWTFSS, you know, for the week. But because that doesn't line up with the date anymore, I just covered that with washi tape. So let's see it in practice, because this was October and I didn't start till November. So you can see here, I covered and stickered and decorated this divider page, and then I covered the days with my washi tape. And then each day I wrote what card I pulled. So for the month of November, I worked with the Road to Nowhere Oracle. And you can see here, this was my first spread, and I just write super quick, let it flow. This is not precious. I don't worry about my handwriting. I don't worry about what I'm writing. What I did was I pulled a card from the deck and I used it as a bit of a study guide. With this practice, I wanted to journal on the card myself and then read the guidebook to see how close or not I got to the original intent and meaning of that card. So that was like a really fun personal game I played with myself while also getting to know the deck and bonding with the deck in another way. Now, because I started this in November and the first started in October section a little bit, I did have room to do something kind of fun and insert this. So I'm still trying to figure out how I could do something like this for the start of the month, because I need to place it in somewhere. So anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look at my spreads. So what I did is I went ahead and I pre-decorated the spreads before I even started the journaling practice. That way it remains super low pressure, super low entry. I literally only need to spend like 2 or 3 minutes in this every day and I'm done. And that's kind of what I need. It's like a very 5-minute or less practice, getting to know a deck, getting to journal, getting to enjoy the visuals of it, and like feeling accomplished about it as well, without setting up this like huge hill to climb to journal every day, right? Because if that's what it requires, I'm not going to do it. And then I'll just feel bad about myself. So anyways, let's look at another spread. So what I would do once I finished the week of spreads, I would go back in and add a few more stickers just to fill in some of the gaps. And like I'm slowly learning what is working and what isn't for me. So this is all very trial and error. But I had fun with it. I'm happy with it. I'm really excited to flip back and look through it. And I went ahead and added in the full and new moons. I got this whole idea from another YouTuber who does a ton of journal work on her channel. And she has a skinny happy planner that she uses as a tarot journal. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is so cool. And she includes the full and new moon. So I thought I would take that practice and apply it in mine as well. So that was a great idea. I will link her channel down below. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but it will definitely be linked in the description if you are curious to see how she uses her journal, specifically the tarot journal, in the skinny happy planner. I just so happened to have this out-of-date skinny planner that I got super cheap on sale like last year. And it gave me the perfect opportunity to turn it into a daily tarot journal. So now the back page of every month in this planner has a grid page. And I started a weekly oracle poll and I wanted somewhere to include that. So I decided to make my own little layout here, and I started on week 3 and week 4, which is why week 1 and week 2 are not filled, but I wanted to visually still have them be represented. And then the top here, I have included my animal Gnosis and the keywords from the cards that I have on my altar for the month. So I'm really happy with how this is going. I'm having a ton of fun. I kind of want to show you December. What about really quick? Okay. We'll look at that next month, of course, but just for now, this is what I did for November in my journal practice, and I'm really excited to continue this because it is very approachable for me and it is working for me very, very much. So I feel like if you're someone that wants to journal, wants to jot down things, but doesn't want to get bogged down by the whole aesthetics and process of journaling. Like, I do not worry about aesthetics in this. This is just like fun art, creative visuals. It's like, yes, I have this like matchy, but I'm not worried about it meeting some overall aesthetic of like me and what represents me in one visual style. Well, because first of all, I'm not represented in one visual style, but you know how you get sometimes, like you want things to look a certain way. So I kind of just went for a very mix and match, not junk journal, but in a way that junk journal uses such like great layers and mixing and matching and just like throw it on the page. I kind of just approach it like that. And I use the stickers that I have. All of this I already have. So once again, I'm using up old materials. I'm using the stash up. I'm using up outdated planners. So I don't know, I thought this was a really great method. And I am so excited I introduced this into my practice for November. It has been so rewarding. So you can see the first here, I have moved on to a new deck. So my plan is that I'll use one deck for 1 month and then switch. So yes, I used the Road to Nowhere for November, and I'm using a tarot deck for December that I really want to get to know. And I'm approaching that one in a different way than I did with the Road to Nowhere. So that will be a really fun reflection to see what method worked or didn't work or whatever the case may be. I'm just having a lot of fun with this, and you know, sorry if this isn't your thing, but it's mine and it's a big part of my November. So thanks for hanging with me through the journal bit. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I could do something like this elsewhere. Like I was thinking I could do a flap here, or maybe like a half page here, like some sort of insert. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I figure out. I'm not going to stress it. Once it comes to me, it will come to me. But once again, like I'm not writing that much, and I'm not like trying to be deep and meaningful or overly complex or anything like that. It's really like I take the pen and I just start writing. And you can see I write like 6 lines, you know, depending on how big my writing is. I write sloppy and I just like let it go, you know, and I mark the cards as well here. So yeah, that's been about that. I think I could probably continue on talking about this, but we will spare you from that, and we will look at the few decks I got, because I barely got any decks in November, which the past few months I've kind of gotten a lot. So it was due time that I had a quiet month of decks. So let's check those out now. I did show this deck briefly in my Dark Holiday deck edit, but it is one of the few I got in November. Let's check out the backs. Also, I'm trying to figure out my new lighting system here. So I apologize for the ring light glare, but it's winter and I'm really trying to get my lighting decent. So we'll see what I can do. But this deck, oh my gosh. If you love Rider-Waite-Smith and you like this vibe, you have to get this deck. It's on Amazon France. And we've got the dark matte edging and these super, super vibrant, I don't even know if the camera's even picking up how neon these, you can see how neon this is. I just love it. It is a bit of a clone in most of the ways, but it is done so visually beautifully. I am absolutely obsessed with it, and I'm really not sure what kind of angle I'm giving you here with the box and everything, but this is my kind of clone. I think this is my Rider-Waite-Smith. I seriously might need to get a second copy. Like, that's how obsessed I am with it. Also, I guess you might want to know the name. This is Tarot of the Third Gaze, if the translation is correct. So it's so good. I'm doing this all backwards, but hey, we got a hardcover book. Here's the inside. So I just use Google Translate, and I'm really liking what's written in here as well. I am seriously in love with this. Okay, let's get back to looking at some cards. What I especially love about these cards is the whimsy, but how restrained the artwork is. The color palette is doing a lot of lifting for the simplified illustrations. We have a single line artwork style and then very graphic colors, shapes, and all of that. It is so good. It reminds me of like Vogue 1960s illustrations. Like this person was hired to do a set of illustrations back in the day. That's the colors, that's the style I'm getting from it. And that's right up my alley. Man, I'm really trying to figure out this light and I hate that glare, but we are working with it. How beautiful is this? I'm obsessed. I almost like want to scrap my dark holiday edit just to work with this deck. I really wanted to work with it for November, but it doesn't totally fit in my deck edit, as I mentioned in that video. And I am controlling myself and using a deck that's in my deck edit for my journal. You know, I got to make rules for myself, but it keeps me on track. So how cool is this? Do you feel the fashion vibe from it? I certainly do. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I love the cardstock. I love the size. It's a little bit like taller than a standard tarot size, and it's super, super fun. Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm obsessed. I have nothing of value to add besides obsessed. How cool is that chariot in the moon? I just love it. It's so me. I guess that's what the end of the day is. It's so me. Like the colors are me, the way the executions are done. And hey, look at a salamander. Yay. I love, it's like the backing of the throne with the salamander. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. Please get this deck if you're into it and let me know. I want to hear all about it. I want to nerd out about this deck big time. I have never done a deck study before, but like being so moved by the illustrations definitely makes me want to do it in a similar way of how I feel with the current tarot deck I am using in my journal for December, which I don't want to like spill the beans and spoil it. So cool, right? Okay, so I could go, I mean, look, we've already almost gone through the whole stack because I'm so obsessed. So let's look at the one other deck I got. I told you it was a very light deck month. I received this very generous gift from Holly of her spread deck, and I selected the Shadow Work Edition. Now, this is a fun tool. Okay, I've been playing around with this for about a week, and I feel like I have a couple techniques that I'm really liking with it. So if you're not familiar with this deck, it is basically a spread creator. And I think it's so cool. It's one of those things where I feel like it's like my Common Oracle, where it's not like flashy, sexy artwork, but it's like a really solid workhorse tool of a deck. And that's not always like your first go-to to go buy something, right? But this is cool. So I just pulled these right off the top. And we could already have a spread of leave this behind, what's your self-worth, and what's your self-empowerment. You could totally make something out of that. Now, what the cool thing is, I think where this really shines, is that you place it underneath and just have that top pop out, which is so visually brilliant for making spreads, keeping track of spreads, especially if you have like a huge one. How cool is that? So what I was really loving doing was just drawing cards as if I was pulling from a tarot deck for a reading. And I was getting some really interesting combinations. First of all, this cardstock is really delicious and shuffles brilliantly. It's a chunker, but the cardstock makes it really smooth and gliding without being slippery. And I was just kind of playing around like this. Okay. Now, I tried a few different ways of like just pulling in the order that I got to create a spread, or I was pulling and then rearranging to create a spread that made more sense. But Honestly, like just pulling and placing, I was getting really cohesive and solid spread. So there's something to this 100%. Now let's see, what do we have here? Like I feel like this also just works right out the gate as well. So now we could, you know, obviously we'd pull these up and these down and we'd start placing our cards here and seeing what type of reading we would get. Okay, now I'm obviously being super sloppy and quick about this, but you can see how useful this would be. I'm really excited to play around with this more. Holly also sent me some really cool expansion packs. This is a expansion pack specifically for the Shadow Work Edition, and then we have a chakra, and then what is this one? These are just some bonus kind of meditation cards. Okay, cool. She also so kindly sent me like a spread cloth, like the whole works. It was the nicest gift. It was such an amazing November perk up, which you could guess that I really needed that. And it couldn't have come at a better time. One thing I thought was also really interesting were these blank cards, which you could totally write on these, you know, get your label maker out and like make your own, write on them, draw on them, throw them in as blanks, almost as like a wild card. That could be interesting. I just think this is a really cool series of decks that she's created here. And once again, then like I said, it's one of those where it's a working tool and we're not getting like that flash of artwork. But if you're looking for a layer in your practice that focuses on more of this spread making or how to get more out of your spreads without having to think extra and over the top to like get somewhere, she has other styles of this deck as well. The Shadow Work one definitely fit most into my practice, so I'm really excited to use this more because I read through every card and they all felt really natural to my practice and the way I read. So I'm super excited and I'm very thankful for this generous gift. Thank you, Holly, so much. If you're watching or listening, I really appreciate your generosity here and sharing your creation with me. I'm absolutely in love and I can't wait to explore it more. So if this seems like something up your alley, definitely check out her Etsy. I will link it down below in the description and you can see if anything clicks for you in your practice. Let's quickly flip through some of these and you can get a sense of the angle of this one. I think they're all like really great. And like I said, I was surprising myself with what I was coming up with. It really felt like a magical little moment creating spreads in a divinatory way. Like it had that energy and it was just super, super fun. And I could just see how strong of a tool this could be. Like, look at that. Like you could get some really interesting insights from this. It didn't hold back, but it also wasn't like brutally harsh as well. Like I feel the way that everything's worded and like packaged and presented feels like a natural fit. And you know, you can't really get any better than that. There's so many that I wouldn't even think of considering to put in a spread, like Old Thought Patterns, Major Transformation. Wow, that would be a duo to check out. Really great keywords. You'll have to let me know if you have any of these spread decks and what you think. Like I said, I'm super excited to get into this more because just from the play sessions I've had with it, wow, I'm really, really, really liking it. So that was my November, and you know, I feel like it was a bit of a whirlwind. The decks were quiet, but the practice was strong, and I feel like that's really the most important part there. I was able to take the time to really have those moments and do readings for myself. And I feel like that's a luxury for some months. And I'm just really grateful that this month, while it had its lows, it had its highs, and I really couldn't ask for anything more. In the theme of November and being thankful, I'm just thankful that I can be here with you, creating videos, creating artwork to share on the internet. And I really couldn't ask for anything better because that's what I want to do and that's what I have the most fun, and I just really love connecting with you all here. So thanks again for being here with me. Sorry it was a bit of like an up and a downer a little bit, but I'm just that's me, and that's how November went. So I'll be back with another video in no time. Before we part ways, may I bother you to ask for some YouTubey things of subscribing and hitting that thumbs up button, because I am trying to work really hard over here and build a platform here. And by you subscribing and liking this video allows YouTube to know that people are interested, and therefore my videos have more of a chance of reaching new people. So I hope you enjoyed my month, or at least listening about my month. And yeah, make sure to reach out in the comments below. I'd love to have a chat and to hear about your November or anything you'd want to say about mine. And until next time, I will catch up with you later. Bye.